Hey everybody, it is Wintermute. So some of you that have watched my channel for a little bit know that I've been struggling with some health issues, pretty severe health issues for a while, and in hindsight realized that I've really kind of dealt with these my whole life. We just didn't realize that I didn't realize that they were health issues. I just said, well, that's the way my body works. So the good news is we think we figured it out. The strange news is it's strange. It's so I was to a point, me and my doctor had kind of narrowed it down to two possibilities. Hypoglycemia, or more likely idiopathic postprandial syndrome, which it presents just like hypoglycemia, but if you were to take somebody's blood sugar, it will show normal. And we had narrowed it down to basically those two things. Or that I was a vampire and I wasn't drinking enough human blood as it was. That one, didn't pan out, unfortunately. But the other two, we were ready to okay, set up testing, and I was going to start regulating what I eat, and we're going to start doing blood tests every day, various times a day, and we were pretty sure, okay, we're about to nail this. And then, and then last Wednesday, I ended up in the ER via ambulance from work, and it basically wrecked all of our theories. So what happens is I get to the hospital. I'm at work, and I am just getting worse and worse as the day goes. Nothing is making sense. I'm struggling. I was on a light position earlier in the day, and then I get to a heavy position. I had to go fill in a heavy position for the remainder of the day, and then that was it. My body just said, nope, we're done. We're done. We're not lifting these heavy boxes like that. Nope. And so I was very close to passing out, and finally even my the guys working on either end of me independently went to like two separate radios and said, hey boss man, you got to come talk to Aaron because he's not looking so good. So I sit down, I start taking in a little bit of fluids, I take some peanuts, and I'm trying to get myself stable. I am sweating. It's not hot at all. And I'm like, holy shit, this doesn't make any sense. What the hell is this? Where is this coming from? One of the guys at work is a volunteer EMT, so he comes back there, does an initial kind of make sure you're not going to die on me, getting ready to do CPR if that happens. He takes my blood sugar. He goes, your blood sugar comes back fine. I'm like, okay, well, if it's IPS, that might be part of the problem, but we suspect it's this, but I've had health problems for a while. But we're still not sure what the hell's going on. And he goes, okay, man. So he does my blood pressure. I come back at 80/55. He immediately, he does it. He tests me, and he immediately turns to the supervisor and goes, start an ambulance. Like, without even hesitation. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, okay, I guess I'm going to the hospital then. Yeah, I'm not walking this one off. So, end up going to the hospital. I explained to everybody, hey, I've been having a lot of health issues. This is what we think it is. We've narrowed it down to this, but it's not making any sense. We're still not sure. We were just about to start blood testing on a daily basis several times to track things, to check my sugar levels throughout the day. And then they come back a little bit after, getting some blood drawn and whatnot. And they said, okay, well, here's the thing. You are very dehydrated right now. And I'm like, what? That doesn't make any sense. How am I dehydrated? I've ate the same things I would normally eat during a day. I've drank the same amount of fluids I would drink during a normal day. And they're like, well, I don't know what to tell you, man, but you are very dehydrated. And your calcium is dangerously low. I'm like, oh, okay. I don't understand why that would be the case either. And they go, yeah, they said, when we start to get nervous when you're about an 8, you're at like a 6 right now. Okay, if you get any lower, things get real bad. So that's what was happening. I was super dehydrated, and my calcium was super low, and my muscles were cramping, and my body stopped working right, across the board. And it was just like, dude, we can't do this. We can't do this. And then that's when I basically bottomed out. So I'm like, okay, all right. Well, they get fluids in me. They get calcium in me. I did tell them. Now, I had gone vegan a week before. Now, I've been vegan before for as part of elimination diets, and I really didn't have any problems then, not with calcium anyway. You know, it really wasn't a major shift. And I've done that and I've kind of been a vegan for several months at a time without even intending it to be, just because I eat a lot of pasta and vegetables and fruit anyway. I don't cook meat for myself at home very often until very recently. In the last 6 months or so, I started doing much more of that. So I'm like, okay, well, the vegan diet shouldn't be bottoming me out like that. And he goes, yeah, and your calcium shouldn't be that low because really it was only like 4 days. So they get me stabilized, they get me out. I go see the doctor Monday. I'm talking to her, and I'm kind of explaining things. And one of the things I ask is, okay, should my calcium be that low over 4 days of cutting meat and dairy from my diet? She goes, no, that should not be that dramatic of a drop. So that's one thing. It's like, okay, well, what about I'm like, look, I shouldn't have been dehydrated. And she goes, yeah, so we're going to talk some more about that. And she goes, I thought once I read the report from the ER, I thought we had it solved. I said, oh, I know what this is. I know what this is. His calcium's super low. He's super dehydrated. There's something wrong with his thyroids that wouldn't show up on normal tests. It's a little more niche and not as common. So we're going to, she wanted me to go in the day right after that and get another round of blood drawn. And then she gets those results back, and she goes, this doesn't make sense either. She goes, this disproved my theory, because I swear I thought that I thought we figured it out. I thought it was a very rare thyroid thing. So we talk a little bit more, and I'm like, okay, look, I can't explain why I was dehydrated. However, let me walk you through a working theory. And I started to realize something, and I realized that I thought I was drinking enough throughout the day. And it turns out that, because I would kind of compare myself to what other guys were drinking and whatnot, and I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'm in the ballpark. I drink more on hot days. But it turns out that I started thinking back to various other things that happened earlier in my life. And I remember when I was at the academy, I would go outside and I would do PT, and we'd finally come inside, and everybody was beelining it for the water fountain. And I would go sit down, and I'd be like, yeah, I mean, I want to get something to drink. I guess I'm thirsty, but my mouth is dry, so obviously I'm thirsty, and I know I need to get water, because I've been sweating and working out outside. But it was not a high priority to me. It was more of just checking off a box rather than a desire to go drink. And then I started to remember a lot of other things that happened. And another highlight is my ex-wife mentioned several times, I don't understand how you can make it through the day without drinking as little as you do. I go, well, I'm just not thirsty. And she goes, oh, how can you not be thirsty? You don't drink enough. I'm like, well, I'm not thirsty, and I'm not dehydrated as far as I know. So I'm clearly fine. I'm not in the middle of the Sahara, because if you're in that kind of environment, you're supposed to drink before you get thirsty. But we started walking through more and more scenarios like that, and I realized I don't get thirsty. I literally don't get thirsty. I don't, what I thought was thirst, a desire to drink water, was really just my mouth getting dry. And I don't, that little switch in your brain that says you need to go drink water, you need to get fluids in you, doesn't work. It's a condition called adipsia, or adipsia, I believe is how it's pronounced. I don't know this. I don't know what I thought was thirst is not thirst. It turns out it is It was just my mouth being dry. So it's like, okay, I mean, that is my habit at work. Is I work for a little bit, my mouth gets dry, I get a drink because I'm thirsty. But I can't get myself to drink much more than that because unless my mouth is really dry, thirsty. But it turns out I just don't get thirsty. So I don't drink more than I feel I need, which is wrong. It's the switch. It's like feeling hunger is sometimes you don't consciously know you need food. That whole process to tell your brain that you're hungry and you need to go get fuel kind of starts on a much more basic level within your body, but that doesn't happen with me. So I spend the majority of my life I have been in a near constant state of dehydration, if not fully dehydrated. And so those are the bad days. And the good days are days that I am inadvertently hydrated. Because that day I drank more, but I wasn't doing anything. I wanted the flavor in my mouth of apple juice, so I drank a lot of apple juice, and I ate a lot of watermelon, so my body got better. That would be a good day, good evening, and then the next day would be good, and then I would fall back off again if I stopped eating the same thing and drinking the same things that I was to compel me to drink and eat watery foods. Because quite frankly, you're supposed to roughly average that whole 8 glasses of water thing a day. There's no scientific evidence to back that up, by the way. That's a lot of hokum, literal bullshit. However, there are studies that show that there's obviously a range. Everybody's different, and then circumstances push you up here and circumstances push you down here. But there's no basis for that 8 glasses a day thing, or 8 whatever. But one website said we can use this amount as a baseline, and from that baseline we can kind of figure out what you need and what your environment, based on your environment and all this stuff, and go from there. And in my case, that's all out of whack. But I even looked at, okay, well, even the suggestion is 3 of these a day, 3 liters a day at minimum. It's actually 3.5, but let's not count food that you take in. 3 of these, and the thought of drinking 3 of these a day, that much fluid in a single day, is actually repugnant to me. I'm like, yo, who the hell can drink that much during a day? That's crazy. That's absolutely crazy. That's a strange concept to me because I literally don't get thirsty. That seems to be the core problem, because right after I went to the ER, I got stabilized. The next day, I started forcing myself to drink constantly. Not constantly, but, I wouldn't just do a drink, because my mouth was watering, and I wouldn't wait for me to desire the flavor of a Pepsi or, apple juice or something. I would go, okay, no, just go drink a cup of whatever. Just do it. Because I wanted to keep myself hydrated at that point. Because I'm like, okay, I'm starting to see a pattern here. And the last 4 days, I've gotten more done around my house for chores and things than I have gotten done in the last 6 months. Yeah, it's that dramatic of a shift. And I had no way of knowing that I was that was the core problem, that I was dehydrated. Because I was dehydrated and not thirsty. There was no desire to drink anything unless I wanted that flavor, or unless my mouth was dry. Now, I have probably been fortunate in that one of the medications I take for my allergies causes me to deal with dry mouth. So I would drink more just to wet my palate. But that was just, if I didn't have that, I probably would have fallen off the cliff long time ago. Long time ago. So it's a mixed blessing in that sense. But yeah, this is a real thing. And my doctor said, I have people who have the same problem. I actually say I have patients who have that same problem, but with food. You're my first patient that has that problem, but with liquid and thirst instead of hunger. And so she goes, okay, so here's what we need to do moving forward. Now, this doesn't rule out that there are other underlying problems that you've been dealing with, but they've all been kind of covered up by this. So we still have to be vigilant. But you're already doing, you know, way better. And I'm on my fifth day of being better, which is at this point, when looking at the last year, is already a way better length than my normal. Normally, I would have been up and down throughout just 5 days. It's that dramatic of a shift. So she said, what we need to do now, and she said, yeah, quite frankly, Adipsia makes the most sense. As rare a condition as it is, as absolutely rare as it is and unlikely, it is still the best answer we have. And until other things may come into the scene to maybe give us a different idea of what's going on, if that's the case, that's what we're going to go with, and that's what I'm going to treat you for, because it makes the most sense. But she said, you know, my other patients with food is they say, okay, by this point in time of the day, I have to go ahead and have X amount of calories in me. And then they kind of track calories and things like that. Because my body will not tell me that I'm hungry. So I have to make a conscious effort. She says, you have to do the same thing. You have to know that you have to have drank a full one of these by 10 o'clock in the morning. And then another full one by 2. And then another full one by 6. And then anything on top of that is probably going to be gravy in your case. And of course, you'll need to up it if you're at work and it's hot and you're sweating and you're doing a lot of things. Yeah, so a lot better than, I mean, it's a lot better than hypoglycemia or IPS. Yeah, a lot better than that. But, you know, it is still a bizarre, life-changing kind of thing. Because it is still, as much as I've made myself drink today, you know, for the last 2 hours, I realized I haven't really drank anything, and it's not even fazing me. It doesn't bother me at all. I don't feel thirsty. And I guarantee you I could go another 8, 9, 10 hours without the thought of drinking anything even crossing my mind, and that would be normal for me. Honestly, that would be normal for me. That it was, and I thought I was taking in enough fluids, but my body wasn't telling me in any direct way that a lot of other people might experience with thirst. So, good news. Good news. My health has improved. I will be part of, hopefully, a YouTube. So that means I will be able to, so long as everything holds up, which it looks like it should at this point, I'll be able to take part in a YouTube Wars starting next year. I've got, obviously, you can tell I got a lot more done because I just put out like 5 videos on my my channel, because I'm walking around going, oh man, I want to do things now. I can think straight. Not everything is such a physical chore that just, and just getting up and walking into the kitchen isn't just an oppressive kind of, So yeah, this is a, hopefully a life-changing event and discovery that will make everything better. So yeah, but now plans are moving forward. Things that I had lined up, projects I had lined up are moving forward. I will hopefully be doing more videos of my own, not just with Jinx, but be doing a lot more videos of my own about various topics as related to board gaming. And yeah. So good news. And hopefully, this is it. It is as simple, if not weird, as this. It's Adipsia, and I can live with it and manage it, and just stay vigilant with it. And moving forward, I understand that there may be other issues that come up. But yeah, now my body just has to readjust to having proper amounts of liquid in it. There's going to be adjustment period there. Yeah, without a doubt. You're going to get up to pee 5 times a night, probably. And I'm like, oh, I already am. Yeah. She says that's not surprising. So we're going to give it a couple weeks, bring you back in and talk about, and kind of assess where you're at and kind of see if we need to modify things. And yeah, we have a game plan. So finally there, I could see the silver lining around the clouds. Yeah. So anyway, I just wanted to kind of update people on what was going on and just the good news and the weird news at the same time. So anyway, this is Wintermute out.